Hi, my name's Phil. I'd like to talk about politics. So for our second scare story of this Halloween, I present to you the scarily stupid as all hell's Lee Anderson. He's come up with an absolute beauty this time. Might be his dumbest policy ever. He's attempting to leverage the discussion over transport options for disabled people and has agreed that disabled people ought to be mobile. But instead of cars, he wants them all to drive Del Boy trotter vehicles. Yes, he wants to see the return of three-wheeled cars for the disabled. It's been described in the media as reform's most idiotic idea yet. Let me tell you something, that is up against some very stiff competition. But first, for daily news and politics, please click the subscribe button to stay notified. So, are you ready for a bone-chilling tale of terror from the ghoulish Lee Anderson? No? Tough. I had to read about it. You can share in my pain. So just in time for Halloween, Reform UK's residential ghoul Lee 30p Anderson, aka Leanderthal, has risen from the crypt of terrible ideas with a proposal so frighteningly stupid it could curdle the pumpkin spice in your latte. Forget haunted houses. Anderson wants to haunt our streets with the ghost of transport past, the dreaded NHS Invacar. This political poltergeist who famously boasted about fiddling the benefit system in his past has now set his sights on people with disabilities. His latest brainwave, or more accurately brain fart, which seems to have been cobbled together in a haunted attic, is to replace the modern Motability scheme with a fleet of vintage invalid carriages, he says. It's less a policy, more a trick with no treat in sight. So what did the MP for the Twilight Zone actually say? Well, gird your loins, for this is a real quote about the Motability scheme, which lets disabled people rent cars with special adaptations, right? That's what he said. I remember back in the day, if you were on disability and you wanted a car from the state, it was a blue three-wheeler. Anyone remember those? What's wrong with that? Let's go back to that. Yes, Lee wants to go back, not to a simpler time, but to a time when vehicles for disabled people were designed with all the safety and dignity of a go-kart made of biscuits. The original Invacar was a rickety three-wheeled coffin on wheels, primarily for ex-servicemen injured in World War II. They were tiny, unstable, about as safe in a crash as a chocolate teapot. They couldn't handle long journeys. They offered all the weather protection of a sieve and were about as welcoming as a haunted crypt. Their three-wheeled design was for tax reasons, not stability. See, the way it worked back then is cars had to pay road tax, but like bikes and motorbikes and stuff didn't. And three-wheeled cars was like a tax. It was like, oh, it's not a real car because it's only got three wheels. And it covered it, so you didn't pay road tax, right? It wasn't designed for stability. It made them about as sure-footed as a zombie on a skateboard. So let's count the reasons why resurrecting this automotive zombie is a frighteningly bad idea. First, safety. What's safety? The Invacar had all the crash protection of a jack-o'-lantern, right? Modern cars have got crumple zones, airbags. The Invacar had hope and a distinct tendency to tip over if you even looked at a corner too hard. Then, one size fits one. It was designed for a single non-wheelchair using occupant, about as useful for the diverse range of disabilities today as a broomstick is for a school run. Presumably, Anderson expects wheelchair users to magically levitate inside. The spooky blue stigma, painted a uniform ghostly turquoise blue. These things weren't just a mode of transport. They were a flashing sign saying, I'm disabled. A truly terrifying prospect for anyone wanting to live an independent life. Ironically, that blue is now the official colour of Reform UK. Coincidence? You decide. I think it's a cry for help from the spirit of bad policy, personally. But anyway, you tell me in the comments below. The only modern equivalent is the Citroen Ami, I suppose, a plastic electric quadricycle with the top speed of a mildly startled ghost and the range of a werewolf on a half-moon night. It's not a car. It's certainly not a solution. And the real scare here is Anderson's sheer pumpkin-headed cruelty. This is the Mother Teresa of Ashfield, who thinks the cost of living crisis is a myth and that a healthy meal costs 30p. He was booted from the Conservatives for claiming London's mayor is controlled by Islamists and has now found a home with Nigel Farage's monstrous regiment. He's unhappy that disabled people can use their Motability allowance to lease a modest modern vehicle through the Motability scheme. Contrary to the myths he tells, No one is given a Bentley. They rent practical cars, scooters, or wheelchair accessible vehicles, often making heavy additional payments themselves. One thing's for sure, though, you'll never see Lee Anderson, I'm all right, Jack Lee Anderson, volunteering to trade his taxpayer-subsidised BMW X5, 45p a mile, thank you very much, for a turquoise death trap, is he? He's happy to look down on people with disabilities from his lofty SUV. Wouldn't be seen dead in the spooky little carriage he so generously recommends for others. And this Halloween, the scariest costume isn't a ghost or a goblin. It's Lee Anderson pretending to have a workable policy, enough to make you scream.
I was working in the lab late one night with my single brain cell not very bright when my eyes beheld a truly eerie sight. An old Invacar, a mechanical blight. It was rusty and smoky and held with a prayer, with a top speed of 30 if you dare. For my new scheme for those who struggle with heels, I'd bring back the coffin on 3 wheels. He's the MP monster, the Invacars attack. He's had a brain bypass, a political error. The wheels are all wobbly, the engine just coughs. It's a death trap on wheels and he can't see it's off. He thinks it's a treat, a right proper scheme. It's the most horrifying thing you've ever seen. He says it'll build character, give them a thrill, a bit of raw danger, a test of their will. Why they need airbags and comfort and such. This thing has a choke and a clutch that won't clutch. It'll save a few quid, that's the main thing you see. Who cares if it's safer to ride a Banshee? We'll paint them all orange for the Halloween vibe. The most terrifying man in the Tory tribe. He's the MP monster, the Invacars attack. He's had a brain bypass, a political error. The wheels are all wobbly, the engine just coughs. It's a death trap on wheels and he can't see it's all. He thinks it's a treat, a right proper scheme. It's the most horrifying thing you've ever seen. And if they break down, which they will constantly, we'll give them a hand crank. Builds up the arm muscles. See? It's a fitness plan and a transport plan. I'm a visionary, I am. A bit like Frankenstein, but with worse ideas. He's the MP monster, the Invacars attack. He's had a brain bypass, a political error. The wheels are all wobbly, the engine just coughs. It's a death trap on wheels and he can't see it's off. He thinks it's a treat, a right proper scheme. It's the most horrifying thing you've ever seen. The MP monster, what a fright. He'll be voted out on the night. His ideas are pumpkin, all rotten and smelly. Now somebody get this man 30p for his belly. The Monster Mash, he's a total crash.